Hello for the 19th week in Ordinary Time using the Gospel of Matthew 14:22 to 33, and the first reading, 1 Kings 19:9 to 13. Uh, I call this little homily a tiny whisper and a deep thought. All because of those readings, I'm asking myself, how deep is my faith? And how do I listen to God? I'd like to sort of suggest you do the same thing. How deep is your faith? And how do you listen to God? These have been paramount in my since childhood to ripe old age. I keep asking myself, how deep really is your faith? And how do you listen to God? I say that because this week I talked with a friend after battling cancer for over 3 years. He found out that his cancer has moved to his brain. And this coming week, they're going to attack this most serious situation. And I talked with him on the phone, and one of the things that hit me, he said, I pray more than ever before. He says, I pray every hour. Interesting. I pray every hour. I pray differently than I used to. I bet he does. How deep is his faith? Or more important, we need to ask ourselves, how deep is my faith? And how do I listen to God? Well, I think in that gospel, Peter got a cold awakening, sinking into the water of how deep his faith was. Gung Ho Peter says, if you want, and let me come to you on the, and by golly, walks on the water till he starts thinking and sinking, and screaming for Jesus to help him. Peter of little faith. How deep is my faith? In this cancer, I think of the faith that my mother had in dying, when she would repeatedly say, pray that Jesus comes. I still think of my father going to daily mass to pray for his wife, my mother, our mother, and all of my two brothers and two sisters. We prayed a lot for the cure of my mother, as my friend with his brain cancer now. And it seems like we prayed a lot, we prayed along, but it seems like most of the time you pray and pray and pray and pray, and you don't get what you ask for. You don't receive exactly how you see it should be. And sometimes we ask then, well, what about my prayer? And how deep is my faith? So ask yourself, how do you listen to God? Well, I'll tell you how I do, or at least my starting point in my whole head and heart and knowledge of prayer is that prayer must start with, I have to listen to the Lord. Listen. Not ask the Lord for something, or not to tell the Lord what it should be, but to quietly listen to the Lord. I find that first reading really insightful, because Elijah, the prophet is to speak the mind of the Lord. So if you speak the mind of the Lord, you got to listen to the Lord. The Lord had to talk to Elijah. But he goes up to this high mountain, or this mountain, and he goes into this deep cave, to listen to the Lord. And he comes out with, listening to the Lord, it's got to be like a heavy wind, a heavy, strong wind, like that heavy, strong wind at the coming of the Spirit in the book of Luke. But he did not find the Lord in the heavy wind. Well, it's like the crushing of rocks in an earthquake, and you'll know when the Lord speaks to you. But Elijah didn't find the Lord in crushing rocks of an earthquake or a blazing fire. How can you miss a blazing fire? But the Lord didn't speak like to Moses in the blazing bush or the burning bush, the blazing fire. Go out in front of the cave, the entrance of the cave. And Elijah went out and he heard a tiny whisper. And in the tiny word, the Lord spoke to Elijah. Well, I think that's insightful. I think God primarily, throughout my life, when I look back, I think tiny sound or a tiny insight or a deep thought or a strong feeling or what do I want and like and expect and in listening, what does God want me to do? How does God want me to act? What should I do in this situation? So it's in a tiny whisper, it's in a dream, it's in a thinking thought, it's in something almost insignificant, but it seems like most of the time, over a period of time, God speaks to us. And it can become loud and clear, but in general, it's a tiny whisper. When we hit crises in life with cancer or crises in life with the virus or just with whatever, even the boredom of life, do I hear God in a tiny whisper? How deep is your faith? How do you listen to God? Don't have mass this week. Called off all 3 masses at Fox Christi because of the virus, the quarantine of the pastor and the secretary. So I'm going to be home this weekend listening to some tiny whispers. How about you? Have a good day.